Welcome to the Cultural High, David. I'm happy to have you here representing Flow Gardens out of Tennessee. Welcome.
Hey, Bryce. Thanks for having me on the show. Looking forward to chatting and learning.
Yeah, you're welcome. And well, I'm looking forward to learning more about you guys. I first want to say thank you for the care package you guys sent over. I got some of that stuff sitting right here in front of me. I already enjoyed the mac and cheese pre-roll that you guys sent over. I actually took that to Alt Pro Expo. I had a busy week coming in before the convention and everything, traveling, being outside of town. Came in, the care package was sitting on my desk in my office, and it was a lifesaver because I was actually a little low on meds. And so I took your pre-roll with me to the show and sat down and smoked it with some very influential people, man. You'd be surprised who I smoked a pre-roll with. And they loved it. And we only got halfway through it and they were stoned out of their minds. So bravo to you. We'll get talking about what the effects and what you guys are doing with your flower and everything to make it that way. We'll get into the products a little bit, but I kind of wanted to hear about you a little bit, David, and your role over there at Flow Gardens and kind of where did it begin?
First of all, thanks for promoting us out there, community. Sounds like the timing of that package was serendipitous on several fronts, so I appreciate that. Gosh, so yeah, we'll start out with my background. I was born and raised here in East Tennessee, Knoxville. Went to University of Tennessee and graduated, went down to Atlanta, built a business, was in the financial and accounting space. It was the fastest growing financial firm, I believe it was in 2017. Inc. 5,000, bunch of great awards, making all kinds of money. And, I just wasn't getting fulfilled with what I was doing. Money does not create happiness. It certainly helps solve problems, but doesn't as you know, doesn't create happiness. So I just took a hard look, hired a president and said, hey, what do I want to do with the next 20, 30 years of my career? I'm, almost 40 years older I was at the time. So took a hard look at what was important to me and where to make an impact. And that's health and happiness. Thus the purpose of our vivid vision is cultivating health and happiness through high quality cannabis, and made the switch back up to East Tennessee, brought my wife and kids up here and joined up with Eric Melzer, the founder of Flow Gardens, who's been, growing commercially for about 5-6 years. And I guess you could say behind the scenes for about 30, like I guess a lot of experienced growers are.
Mm-hmm.
So, and what's happened over the past 3 years, Eric started during COVID. When I came in about a year in, helped kind of put some structural things in place and, clarify his business plan and his amazing vision that he had. Things that have just taken off. We have, 20,000 plus customers. We got a pretty good following on Reddit. And, we're an R&D facility that is, selling super duper high quality hemp, high terps, high cannabinoids. Our opinion from the COA is the best in the industry when it comes to hemp. And so that's kind of where we are. We're rocking and rolling. We got 2 facilities now, doubled our output in the past 2 months. So we've doubled our size here over the past summer, which has been, some growing pains in and of itself as the cycle goes with the growing business. But that's kind of where we are, man. It's a fun and new, exciting problem and mistake that we make every day.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. You guys have been verified more than just your own opinion. You guys won some awards here recently. In the Emerald Cup, you won in 2022 and 2023. You won first place in a couple categories. First place in 2022 and then second place in 2023. But again, like I said, multiple categories in each with your products. And then same thing in the High Times Cannabis Cup, same years, 2022, 2023, first and second place for best hemp flower. That's something in this market. I have a pleasure to be able to work in the same industry as you in this ever evolving hemp cannabinoid space. We've seen this boom since 2018, and it's amazing all the different companies like yourself that started up during COVID and are seeing success and are seeing growth, when during that time we saw so many companies do the exact opposite and die off, and there was a lot of people lost their jobs and everything. That's what I think special about this industry is the new growth that it has brought to the country as a whole, not just the healing like you're speaking about, which that's the most important thing in my mind, is providing relief and healing to those people that didn't previously have access because of the states that they're in. But then also we're improving everybody's livelihood You look at the hemp market in certain states, here just a couple months ago in Florida, when the ban was getting fought and then, got overturned down in Florida, but just the overwhelming presence and everybody that showed up to support and just told, the lawmakers of how this is part of their livelihood. They risked everything, leveraged everything to be a part of this, and it's now being successful, and there's, too many times trying to take that away. So I love seeing that despite all of that, we have people that are still persevering and succeeding in providing good quality medicine and relief for people. So thank you. I'd like to talk about some of your products and stuff a little bit, because in this space, there's a lot. There's a lot of different growers out there. There's a lot of different suppliers out there, different people with different lab results. And sometimes, with all the COAs, if you're a new consumer or even a business, put someone on the business side trying to decipher through everything and see what is good and what's not, and not get the wool pulled over your eyes, so to speak, is hard. So what are you guys doing to maintain that dedication to quality and stay above and beyond, open book, so to speak?
Just have a maniacal focus. So I know I will get into the details, right? Just have a maniacal focus on what's best for the customer, and how to grow high quality hemp is what it boils down to. Not to scare your listeners or customers, but just in seeing the hemp market expand as much as it has in the past 2 years, I can't not get on Instagram, whatever platform it might be, and get ads for, excuse my French, but people selling shit products, and just manipulative advertising. And those companies are going to come and go, and just because they're not focusing on quality, they're just focusing on turning a buck. And that dance will come to an end. They may make some money in the time frame, but we're focused on maintaining our reputation, culturally, maintaining our reputation, with regulators, as these laws start to change. And, there's all kinds of stuff that's just changed in the past couple of weeks with the HHS to the DEA. Who knows if that reschedule is going to happen among the new banking attempts again that are coming up here before the end of the month with the, on a federal level. But well, what do we do to focus on quality? It's just, we develop benchmarks and try and increase those benchmarks when it comes to what's our total terpene level. We're doing some stuff with grants and, some educational institutions behind the scenes. And, it's very clear when they're asking, how can you prove that you're a quality company? When we just throw those COAs out there and you have 4.5% terpenes, granted that's one of our better ones, but it's not uncommon for our strains to have anywhere from 3.5% to north of 4% in terpenes, which is 4 or 5 times the average for even a flower that has good terpenes in it. And then, when we're hitting cannabinoid levels, like CBD, for example, 27%, I believe, is fabled, one of our recent flowers, not total cannabinoids, but just CBD. It's like we know what system we're following. We know how to take care of the plants. We know what needs to be done from the nutrient management, pest management for our non-hydroponic systems, the humidity, the CO2, the temperature, all the different components that go into cultivation. It's
more than just throwing it in a 5-gallon bucket anymore, isn't it?
Yeah, our living soil is that's got such an interesting recipe that we have in it. We use teas and stuff, and all that. But yeah, it's not just as easy. If you want to really maximize the plant's potential on an organic level, then yeah, it's not just throw it in a pot,
Now, is that what you guys focus with on your medium for growth? Do you guys do a living soil for all your grows, or do you do a mix of living soil and some hydro on the other?
Yeah, so we have 4 different methods. We have, as of right now, we're adding another one here in the near term, but the four that we currently have, hydroponic under that. So there's 3 hydroponic methods. We got the flood and drain, the top feed, and the recirculating deep water culture, and then we have our living soil.
Okay.
And depending on the purpose of the flower, what we're looking for in that specific cultivar or what our customers are looking for, we'll, throw specific strains in different rooms.
Yeah. I mean, I just want to speak real quick to something you said, and I'm going to even take a hit of this on air because, that's what we do on the Cultural High, especially when people send us care package. Your banana bread hybrid that you sent over, so very terpy. Like the flavor coming across is amazing. I love it. Like I said, that mac and cheese is really good. Probably going to break down some of this lemon cherry sherbet while we're talking. What do you guys go for in your cannabinoids that you're trying to reach? Because I have and maybe actually I'll ask this question first and you can explain what you guys do different with your flower. We're seeing here in the last, just in the last few months, and this is how it's been since the beginning, since 2018 came around, it was Delta 8 and then HHC and then THC, Delta 10, THCV, and then we started mixing them, and then THCJD, THCP, all this stuff started coming out. And now it's always been the next new thing. But what's been really hitting it the last few months, and I have my own interesting opinion on it, but I want to get yours, is the THCA craze. Now that's just like taking over, and I can speak specifically in Tennessee. I mean, from a standpoint of operating a company that's in this hemp-derived cannabinoid space, and we currently do not offer a product with THCA. And like I said, we have our reasons, but sometimes it's really hard to get into a market, specifically Tennessee. Been really hard to get into that market, not having a THCA product, because that's all that people want. What's your viewpoint on that as a hemp cultivar? Can you speak and maybe educate some of the listeners? Because you're the subject matter expert on this. So could you maybe speak on, is THCA flower in hemp? Is that even a thing? Like what is this that people are intaking? And just give us some education.
It's a really specific and really meticulous question as far as how I need to answer it. Yeah, THCA, that's definitely taken over in a lot of the states like Texas, like Tennessee, like Georgia, and a lot of those states that aren't legal from a municipal perspective. So THCA, and I'm not a scientist, I'm a research nerd for sure, but I am not a scientist. I know how to operate an HPLC machine, but like I said, I don't. When it comes to actual plant science education, I do not have a degree in that. So the THCA for your listeners, Bryce, is it's THC, non-psychoactive, so that A has an acid molecule on it. So when you burn that acid molecule off, then it converts to THC, which gives you those, as those psychoactive effects. So
right.
The way the laws are structured now with the Farm Bill, and it's supposed to be updated in September. I don't think that's going to happen.
We found out last week, it got pushed back till February.
Okay, so there you go. There's so many different regulatory agencies. I heard December, and I'm glad it's February.
Yeah, we heard February.
So I think that's actually good, Bryce, because they're not putting the cart before the horse there, because there's so many other things that need to happen, safe banking, et cetera. But anyway, so figuring out, understanding what the certificate analysis says from a testing perspective, like when do you test, what are the requirements of each individual state, when you test and how it's tested, that's a big factor, because when a plant is actually tested and what we're required to do at a state level to adhere, not only that agency, but also the Farm Bill federally, it's a slippery slope. And you got to, and the key is you have to really understand the genetics that you have, and how those genetics develop throughout the flowering cycle. Yeah, because if you don't, you're going to have, in our case, you're going to have the Tennessee Department of Ag coming in and testing a plant, and it's not going to go so well.
Right.
So, and we have a great relationship with our regulators, and they know that we're compliant, we're following the rules. But yet, like you said, THCA is not psychoactive from a scientific perspective, but whenever you smoke it, then that something else happens. So
decarboxylation. I mean, it's kind of, just going to say certain brands already do it in the THC or in the regular cannabis industry. Most of your flower that you purchase is THCA. even in a regular dispensary, most of the flower you purchase, the THC is unconverted. So even though it might say 26% THC, that's actually 26% THCA, or maybe even a little bit lower than some THC, but that's THCA. And then once you decarboxylate it, whether you're smoking it, using it for edibles and stuff, then it becomes active, and now you have that high percentage of THC. And that's why, our company over at the Standard, we currently haven't done any THCA products just because of our understanding of the law and how it has to be tested on a federal level. Is it does mention post decarboxylation testing methods. And so, that's why we haven't, but then I'm seeing, and I'm not for, I should say, let me rephrase it. I am for pushing the boundaries, because that's what we're all doing in this space, right? We're all pushing the boundaries every day because we know the end goal, what we all want, which is decriminalization, some form of regulatory across the space, interstate commerce, and then all the background laws that have to work with that, like safe banking, protection for workers and workman's comp and insurance and all that different type of stuff, right? But I like everybody playing fair, and I like us all to have a level playing field. And it has been a little crazy recently watching it. Every company's got onto it. Cookies, the next biggest one, that's going to be a huge thing. They just 2 weeks ago launched their THCA e-commerce site. And now, for the first time ever, all of their limited exclusive strains that before you could only purchase in their dispensaries in a legal state, now you can purchase that same flower with the same THC or THCA content and have it shipped right to your door.
Because they have less than 0.3% delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol.
I know, and that's just crazy. So that's why I like getting people's opinions, man. That's really
every teed me up here, Bryce, too, because that we actually got those lemon cherry sherbet seeds, and I don't know if that's LCS number 2 or another one. I think we sent you number 2, but I won't say it there on the container. That we got that from Cookies.
So, did you? I'm about to grind that up while we're talking.
Yeah, we pheno hunted that. It's funny. We actually sent that COA in, and it came back at 54%. We're like, and this is from a reputable lab, totally legit. And we're like, what is going on here? Something's not right. So we sent it back, and it came down in the 20s. But there's something special about that flower. So be careful if you're about to take that one in right now, Bryce.
I'm gonna enjoy it. Well, man, cannabis saved my life. Been a medical user for a little over 12 years now, ever since I got out of the military. And that's the reason why I got into this industry. Kind of like yourself, I wanted to have a difference for people, be able to provide a healing alternative than the pharmaceuticals that plague this nation and that are just shoved down people's throats every day, So,
well, I love your service, man. And, my uncle's a disabled veteran, and cannabis changes, a lot of people's lives specifically.
It does.
Have given their lives for our country. So I really do appreciate that, man.
It's my pleasure, brother. I have a good friend. I'm actually going to be seeing him now. I'll be out there in Tennessee next month, coming out to Nashville. A brother of mine that I served with lives in Lebanon, Tennessee, and he has a metal band, and they're headlining their first show. And so I'm going to go out there, and it's at a new music venue. The music venue is like an old, or not an old, but it's a record label manufacturing place. Like they make records there, like vinyls, and then they have a music venue hall, and so they're headlining a concert there. Someone come out there and see it. But he's talking all the time like this is all that he smokes out there is THCA flower, locally grown. I don't remember the brand. I was going to ask him if it was the Flow Gardens brand, and then also recommend it, because this stuff's amazing.
Well, if you want, you're welcome to come tour our facility. And I can, pull back the curtain and show you some things that we got going on. Happy to do that.
That'd be awesome, man. That would be awesome. Yeah, I'd say we connect offline after the show, and then we'll exchange information, but that would be great. This industry, as it keeps evolving, as we keep growing with the new laws that are coming down, we were talking about that at the beginning. We were talking about, the rescheduling that's possibly happening, the hemp farm bill being pushed back. Where do you guys see Flow Gardens landing as this industry evolves, as we say it does come down to it's rescheduled and more things are opening up? What's Flow Gardens end goal? Are you guys going to stay in just hemp forever? Or if the opportunity presents itself, are you going to switch over to cannabis?
Cultivating health and happiness through high quality cannabis to give you, a very general answer. But, if it is legalized with marijuana, that's one of the big issues right now is when you say cannabis, people think marijuana, not people don't necessarily think hemp.
Yeah.
And, cannabis is marijuana, cannabis is hemp. There's really no difference in my mind other than, having an argument about what the different cannabinoids are. You can actually have hemp cannabinoids in marijuana. You just can't have marijuana cannabinoids from a THC perspective and hemp. So the whole hemp marijuana thing is just an argument try and ignore. If we're able to grow, what the government defines as marijuana, then that'll definitely help us from a leverage perspective as to how we can grow and how we can strengthen our current genetics that we have in hemp. But to answer your question, Bryce, I don't know where we're going, on a quarterly basis, let alone 2-3 years out the road. We're focusing on brick by brick. And until some of these government laws and regulations change and provide businesses clarity so we can make long-term decisions, right? Like a business must too, then we'll have, a little bit more narrow focus. But until then, it's just, let's grow some really high quality cannabis and, treat our customers right.
It's hard to make those projections, like you said, when you don't even know when it's going to be in 6 months.
But I will say I would like a lot of these larger institutions that will enable the pharmaceutical company to come in. I would like for them to stay away for as long as possible. It's inevitable. When it comes, I'll embrace it, and we'll pivot and make changes as we need to. But I do not think it's a good thing for in the short term for pharma companies to come in right now.
Yeah, I've kind of mixed feelings on that. I've had the pleasure to interview some people on the show that's where they are at. They're using cannabinoids in the pharmaceutical and trying to bring, new drugs into the space, and they're in testing and everything right now. There was even, I can't remember the name of the guest. I'm terrible with names. They're doing a synthetic form of THC, which I found very, very interesting because since, with the DEA and all these, with the Delta 8 and stuff, we see all the time letters and their opinions of synthetic THC and how they're Schedule 1 narcotics and everything. But this, since it doesn't even come from any sort of plant and it's literally made in a lab, it's somehow legal, which I find very interesting. But they're using it as a cognitive enhancement drug. It actually improves your cognitive functions, and they're helping it with pre-dementia patients and stuff. And it's really neat to see the different ways that we can use the plant. But then I have that same feeling like you do, that I don't want to see it just get controlled by big pharma.
And I'm not here to demonize big pharma. I don't think there's some conspiracy theory. There are a lot of bad things that go on that we've seen with Purdue and with the opioid epidemic and all that. But where I'm coming from is I want the research to come from the people. I don't want, whenever the research, which is starting to open up and the government realizes, hey, this is here to stay. We need to support this with research. I'm handing out all that money for the research going to the pharmaceutical companies. I do not think is a good thing. It allows them monopolistic type tendencies, and it's not healthy for the customer and the protection of the plant.
What are some of the initial struggles that you guys had because of this space and like some of the laws and stuff that you've learned to overcome, and that, if you could make a change in the future, or even in this next farm bill, what's something that you're hoping to see?
I mean, if they increase total T to 1%, that would be great. I don't know whether they aren't going to do that. If they kept it the same, that's fine. It's really just allowing us not to have to make major shifts. There were some changes in laws about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, and we had to completely pivot. I think they were more locally or on a municipal level than they were federal, but we had to completely pivot, and it disrupted our, growing cycles, our growing process. We had to basically clean out a lot of our genetics to be compliant. Really? So, just having consistent laws and not always changing them is helpful. I mean, I think generally businesses want to operate, within the realm of the law, but when you keep changing it, it
makes it really hard to be compliant.
Yeah.
Have you guys, so I guess I'm taking that you've experienced maybe have you guys experienced loss of crops in the past because of that? I've heard of horror stories of that, of, cultivars having to just completely get rid of complete crop harvests because, it was higher than that 0.3%.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that we've lost entire crops. It's, we had like you had asked me before, we had a 2-year plan.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I answered, it's tough for us to deal with quarterly. You've had a 1 or 2 year plan, and we pheno hunt genetics, create our own genetics in addition to, pheno hunting. And we find that cultivar that takes a long time, not only just pheno hunt, find, make sure it grows well in either living soil or which hydroponic method. And then we start growing it on a larger, more distributable scale to our customers. And then they just say, oh, the law is changing. You got, 3 months to pivot. Good luck. Mm-hmm. Like even if we wanted to, from seed to sale, and making it very simple, there's no way we could even do that within a 3-month period. We need more 6 months, 9 months, a year.
Yeah. Last couple minutes to wrap this up. I want to give you a little time just you can speak on your brand and give us a little sales time. I just smoked that lemon cherry sherbet. That stuff is great. Like, that's hemp flower for real? Yeah. Give me the rundown on that. What's cannabinoids and stuff on that flower? Like, what did I just smoke? Because I feel really good. That was nice.
Oh gosh, I do not have the COA on me. I can have our office send it over to you.
Yeah, I would love to. You said you guys got that one from Cookies?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
That might be a type 1.
Okay. Now, what do you mean by a type 1? What's that?
Yeah, so you got type 1, type 2, and type 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Great.
So type 1 is THCA only. Type 2 is CBD and THCA. Type 3 is CBD only, or mainly CBD, and then type 4 is CBG.
Okay.
So that might be just a THCA one that you have there.
Well, shout out to Flow Gardens and their lemon cherry sherbet. That is some amazing stuff. People should definitely go get some of that. Where can people find you? David, how can they get
Cultivating.com, and I'll say Instagram as well, but they will probably shut down our account again.
Yeah, they don't like that. That's one of the hard things in this space, is trying to get advertisement and get your brand out there with the limited viability that we have. So thankfully we have platforms like we're on right now, Cannabis Radio, and other platforms that allow us to, speak freely about our passions and what we're doing daily, and bring awareness to the space. So David, I appreciate you coming on and talking about Flow Gardens and letting us know what you guys are doing and your dedication to quality. That's what we always try to bring on here at the show, is just people that are trying to achieve excellence despite all the many stumbling blocks and hurdles that we have to go through in this space, that you're doing your best that you can to maintain compliance, help with regulation, and show that there are people out there that are doing it for the right reasons. So thank you guys, and thank you for Flow Gardens for doing that.
Yep, absolutely, Bryce. Our pleasure. And again, can't say enough. Appreciate your service. And we do have a veterans discount.
Hey, all right. I like that, man. Well, I'll definitely have to reach out for that. Thank you, man. You have a good one, bro.
All right, you too. Take care.
The opinions expressed on this CannabisRadio.com program are those of the guests and hosts, and do not necessarily reflect those of the staff and management of CannabisRadio.com. Any rebroadcast, republication, or retransmission of this program without proper consent is prohibited.